Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here, and you are watching or listening to Better Way with Kirsten Kimura podcast. If you could do me a little favor, that would be really, really appreciated. If you could leave this video a thumbs up if you're watching this on YouTube, and also hit that little subscribe button, that would be super helpful for me because that way this channel will be found by more people. And the same thing if you're listening to it on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please hit the subscribe button or follow, I think it is on Spotify. And if you're on iTunes, please leave it a 5-star rating and a review. Again, it really helps the podcast to get to reach more people. And I really appreciate your help because it is harder for me to do it by myself, just alone. It's a lot easier to do to get this word out about it if you help me. So thank you so much already in advance. I really, really appreciate it. Today, we're going to talk about your nervous system and how the state of your nervous system really determines so many things about your health. And this is why you have to really take good care of it, right? So, when I say the state of your nervous system determines a lot of things about your health, this means, for example, your blood pressure, your digestion, your hormonal health. This is a really big one. But also, it includes your ability to lose body fat, to build muscle, to get fitter. And obviously, the state of your nervous system also determines your mental health, your emotional health. So, what we're going to talk about more specifically today is your autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. And even though there's the word autonomic in it, it may seem like, oh, it's doing its autonomic thing and I cannot influence it, but you can. You can with your daily actions, the way you think, the way you rest or don't rest, the way you stay activated or give yourself more breaks. All these things actually determine the state of your autonomic nervous system. So, what we know about it is that the autonomic nervous system has basically two branches, and they're called the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic side of this nervous system is the one that's called typically the fight or flight system, right? And when you think about it, it's like a car. This is the accelerator. Accelerator. That's something that makes you go fast and hard and move, 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 right? And then we have this other side of this autonomic nervous system, and it is called the parasympathetic. And this is your rest and digest state. And when we think about a car analogy, then this is your brakes, right? So that you don't go super fast all the time, you're gonna use your brakes to slow down. So you can think about it this way. Now, what does this autonomic nervous system and these states, what do they determine about your health? Well, they determine your blood pressure, your heart rate, your digestion, your respiratory rate, and even your sex drive, and a couple of other things. So there's a lot. And like I said before, too, you can influence how your health is, what the status of your health is, how things go by choosing the right actions, by activating one side of the autonomic nervous system more than you activate the other one. So, if you are constantly in the sympathetic state, that means that you're probably going to get very stressed out. So, remember, sympathetic is the fight or flight, this is the accelerator. And when you have this state activated all the time, it feels like you are on the freeway and going like 150 miles an hour all the time. If you never bring it down, if you never enter the state of parasympathetic, this is how you are. You're going fast, right? The engine is like struggling. You're pushing so far. You're never slowing down, and this is a very, very stressful place to be all the time. Now, of course, sometimes you do need to accelerate. Sometimes you do need to go fast, but it shouldn't happen all the time. So, what are some of the things in real life that keep us in this sympathetic activation place? Well, it can be something like never taking a break. So, you're working, I don't know, 16 hours a day, just going, going, going. You are taking on a lot of responsibilities, for example. You are taking on more work commitments than what you can actually handle. You don't take time to slow down at all. It can also look like doing too many workouts and not recovering from them. It can also look like not eating enough and starving yourself and putting your body through some really, really difficult things when you're not giving yourself enough nutrition. All these things are keeping you in this very activated sympathetic state. Another one where I talk about mindset is the way of thinking. If you are often catastrophizing and judging and worrying and being in a panic mode all the time, this will also keep you in this strong sympathetic state. Now, the parasympathetic is the opposite of that. And when do you experience it in your real life is when you rest, when you chill, when you let your mind quiet down, when you take some deeper breaths, when you take some hours in your day, or at least an hour a day, when you don't do anything, you just let yourself be. You learn this like full body, full mind relaxation. This is how you enter the parasympathetic state. It's so hard for so many women to allow themselves to go there because they have this message in their mind that they always have to go harder, go faster, get more stuff done. If they're sitting down to rest, that means that they're lazy or that they're useless. They have to be doing things all the time. They literally are very judgmental towards themselves if they don't keep up with everything. If they take a break, if they feel like they are not doing something useful every minute, they get very, very hard on themselves. And guess what side of this autonomic nervous system is activated when you are hard on yourself, when you're judging yourself, when you're beating yourself down for not doing things well, not doing things perfectly, and not doing enough of the things that you thought you should do? Of course, it activates more of that sympathetic side again. Now, both of these sides are important. It's not true that sympathetic is bad, that we should never go there. It's going to ruin our health when it's sometimes activated. Absolutely not true. We need this activation to get things done in life, right? If you want to get your workout done, you bet you're going to be in the sympathetic a little bit. You have a stressful event, something happens at work. It's actually good for you for a moment to go there, right? Deal with it, but then you should come out of it and go back into this parasympathetic. What some things that can stress you out are, there's a lot of things in everyday life that can stress us out. Now the problem is if we never pump those brakes, right? If we never return to this parasympathetic, rest and relax and recover, just chill, sit on the couch and do nothing, just relax. If we never do that. So if you're constantly in the sympathetic, you are much more activated. This is this like very, very activated state. You are reactive, right? Everything, like your reactions feel stronger than they really should be, right? So let's say something happens and you make like a massive big deal out of it, or your body responds in this very, very heightened way. So that definitely says that you are very sympathetically activated. Every little bit of stress feels really, really huge to you, right? Something happens and you're just making like a huge, huge thing about it, even though it's not really worth it. It's not that big of a deal at all. If you have some pain and if you are constantly in this activated state, this pain is going to feel bigger and stronger because you are activated. So another person with, let's say, a similar pain source would feel less pain if she's spending more time in this parasympathetic. She wouldn't feel the same level of pain as intensely as somebody who is in this constantly elevated sympathetic place, right? And also people who are chronically elevated sympathetic place, they do have definitely a lot more chronic inflammation. This has been shown, and this is very, very true. Now, how does it relate to body fat, muscle building, and hormones? Well, what we know about body fat loss is that in order for your body to lose fat, it has to feel safe. It has to feel like chill and relaxed most of the time. Of course, like I said, when you're working out, things are going to accelerate, things are going to go faster. There are stressors in life that are going to put you in this heightened state. Yes, but if you are not coming out of that, then you're going to have harder time losing body fat because your body just does not feel safe, right? It doesn't feel like you are relaxing. It feels like it has to be on high alert all the time. And this is also more like a catabolic state, meaning breakdown state. It's difficult to build muscle in this state if you are in this very catabolic, very sympathetically activated, go, 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 busy, nervous, anxious, high alert state. So fat loss will be harder if you are there all the time. Then hormonal health, very, very closely related. We talked about one of the recent episodes about cortisol too. So if you are chronically stressed out and very sympathetically activated, then you will have higher cortisol levels. And we talked about how that's going to make fat loss harder too. But not only that, you're going to have more unpleasant symptoms. You're going to have more pain, for example, with your periods. You're going to have more PMS symptoms. Um, and then you notice that just some things like hormonally, for example, your sex drive is definitely lower. You're not feeling so good. You have more brain fog. You can't find words. Like things like that start to happen because you are under this chronic stress state, and you're in this chronic stress state, and you are never getting out of that sympathetic activation state. So you can think for yourself, like you can imagine a scale, right? So you have one long line at one end of the spectrum is 1 and the other end is 10. So 1 would be like a very parasympathetic. I'm like really relaxed and chilled, and I'm recovering and I'm digesting and I'm just feeling very kind of very little activation. It's like very chill place. And then on the other end of the spectrum is 10, which is the super highly activated sympathetic state. So now you can think for yourself, where are you spending most of your day? Where is it like 2 or 3? Are you like really chill and relaxed and feeling good? I'm guessing that this is not most people these days. Or are you somewhere more like 7 and 8? Or maybe you are somewhere in between. But if you are, let's say, between 6 to 10, this is a pretty activated state. And this is where things are so much harder for you. All the things that I mentioned, you probably have like higher blood pressure, accelerated heart rate, your digestion may not be very good, you're breathing faster, your muscles are like ready to go. You feel like you're holding your body a little bit tighter and tensed up, right? It's almost like as if you're prepared for something bad to happen all the time. You're like, this like very rigid state all the time. So if you are somewhere there, let's say 6 or more like 7, 8, 9, somewhere there, this is this highly activated state where all these things happen. And also your body composition goals are going to be harder to get to if you don't ever take yourself out of that and spend more time in this first half of the scale or the spectrum where you are more like 2, 3, 4, right? So it's very low activation. It's very kind of like slow, chill state. And I hope that this helps those of you who are always saying that I feel so guilty. I feel so guilty for taking a break. Sitting down is bad. I was always told that this is lazy, right? If you grew up with these messages or you told yourself these things all the time, maybe this will help you to see that it is not actually good for you. You may have thought this way and like taken pride in doing so many things and multitasking and always staying busy, but was it actually good for you? And if you're dealing with some health issues, like some chronic issues, some pains, hormonal issues, inability to lose body fat, digestive problems, then actually what could be behind this is this super activated state where you are spending most of your days in. So what I recommend you to do is to check in with you several times during the day. Like, where am I? What state am I in? Is it high activation? Is it low activation? Am I feeling good or am I feeling anxious and jittery and my mind is racing like crazy? And if you're finding yourself in this my mind is racing like crazy and I'm very activated state, then do something to come out of it. So what are some of the things that you can do? And I personally practice them myself as well. So take breaks from work. So many of us don't even have a minute, or we don't, it's more accurate to say we don't take even 10 minutes to eat our lunch without our work. So we're like eating as we are working on things. And this is really far from this parasympathetic state where we want to be, where normal digestion can happen and just a normal settling down can happen. So take some breaks from work if you're noticing that you are really like high alert and activated. Then to notice when these signs start to come in. For example, it can be like your thinking is getting faster and faster, or internally feel something in your chest, right? Maybe there's like anxiety or something in your stomach. You start getting these body signs and sensations. Maybe you start getting like this tension headache. These are all the things that come from too much stress and you haven't paid attention to it. And now it starts to come out this way. It's trying to grab your attention. So when you get this sign, take a break. And what you can do during this break is to do, for example, meditation or some sort of calming practice, breathing practice. Take, whatever the time is that you can take. I know, again, some people say, I don't have even like 5 minutes. I don't think this is true. I think most everybody has 5 minutes, or if you don't have it, why don't you have it? Can you create that? Of course, I don't know your life. I can't say that you always can create it, but I think most people can create these 5 minutes. I personally find that I need a little more time. Like if I find myself in this place, I need like 15, 20 minutes to really calm my system down and kind of settle and relax and do like a mindfulness meditation. I like to use guided meditation most of the time, but if you like silent, that's sort of fine too. I feel like if I do a silent meditation, then my mind still wants to go and do its own thing. And its own thing is I thinking too much, right? Then I just use guided meditation or a breathing practice from Insight Timer app or something like this. Another thing that I definitely recommend you to do is to stop multitasking, because that's what puts you in this place. You're just doing too many things at once. It's very, very activating. It's super distracting, and your brain just, there's like little lights going off all the time. It's like I don't know, some kind of light show. If you're distracting, you see one notification here and the other one there, and then you have a video here and YouTube thing there, and you just it's just too many things. So reduce that, eliminate that multitasking, and start more single tasking. And also, in general, less stimulation. Some people are pretty sensitive to stimulation and they are impacted more by it. And again, I put myself in the same category too. So if you have, let's say, phone notifications on, we talked about it a little bit in the previous episode too, or you have music going on all the time, somebody's watching TV all the time. I know that for me, these things would be super, super activating, and I would just get stressed out very, very quickly from it. So pay attention to if this is going on in your life, and if you can create a little bit more like quiet work environment where you're not distracted all the time, where you can do your thing, where you can stay focused on one thing that you need to do instead of having this all everybody needing something from you, having all these notifications go off and like all these emails coming in. So create this environment, whatever you do, whether you work or you do something at home, where you can do more like one thing at a time. So you're not constantly, I would almost say even like chronically stimulated, because your brain is going to let you know if you are in this state. If you're chronically stimulated, it's going to start doing the same, and you find like you cannot stop your thoughts anymore. It's like it's too super intense, it's too intense. But if you do find yourself in this place, then yes, like I said, I do recommend that you take a little pause there and rest and shut everything down for 15 minutes if you can, and relax. Try to clear your mind from whatever is waiting for you on your computer or in the kitchen or whatever you're doing, and find that peaceful place so you can settle your nervous system and bring it back to that parasympathetic side again, so that you can recover, right? Recover, rest and digest, and just just get better, just feel stronger, feel calmer and more relaxed. So pay attention to these things. Use this spectrum that I told you about, where one is very relaxed, rest and digest state, and 10 is this high intensity, go, go, go state. See where you find yourself. Where are you most of the day? And if you are always towards that high intense side of things, then you have to just bring your nervous system down, regulate your nervous system more, so that your body can actually give you better results. right? Your health will be better. Your health will absolutely improve from this. Whether we're talking about weight loss or not, your overall health will absolutely improve from you being more in this parasympathetic than you are right now. Of course, there are people who are in this very, very parasympathetic state too. They're almost like too slow or too stuck or not able to move or not find any activation. But I'm not going to talk about these people right now because I do feel like more people are in this chronically sympathetic state, and this is probably a bigger problem. More people can resonate with that. And just, like I said earlier, to give yourself this permission to calm down and relax. There's nothing bad about it. You haven't done anything wrong if you take a break and recover. You're doing this for your health. And you start noticing also that you start feeling a lot better when you are more calmer internally too. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. Let me know if you have any thoughts. You can drop them in the comments if you're watching on YouTube. And you can always also find me on social media. Thank you so much and see you again very soon. Take care.